Yeah, I'm gonna have some water.
Oh, yes, I can.
I spilled it.
I'm your elder.
I spilled at your place, sorry.
Holy cow.
Thank you.
It's time. Call to order a regular meeting for the Normal Town Council for November 2nd, 2015. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mr. Fritzman?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McBride?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
Ms. Gaines?
Here.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business, as always, is the omnibus agenda, a group of resolutions that will be considered in one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. I would like to be excused on voting on any bills. I may have incurred my duties as mayor. Preston?
I'd like to pull item J, please.
Mr. Fritzen?
I'd ask to be excused from voting on the Bloomington offset invoice.
Item C to be pulled, please.
C?
C as in cat.
Motion for approval, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Items considered in the vote tonight would be the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 19th, 2015, and approval of Town of Normal expenditures for payment as of October 28th, not 2105, but 2015. Resolution approving an amendment to the lease agreement for 203 South Linden Street to extend the lease term beyond January 2nd, 2017. A resolution amending a contract with Farr and Associates for the Uptown 2.0 plan authorizing a budget adjustment in the amount of $51,356.46. A resolution endorsing a collaborative economic development effort for the City of Bloomington, Town of Normal, and the McLean County region. A resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for the employment of the municipal manager, would be Mr. Peterson. Welcome back for another year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Resolution accepting dedication of right-of-way in the enterprise zone. A resolution conditionally approving the final plat of Zoe's subdivision by expedited process. That's formerly the land known as 908 to 916 West Hovey. Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. Preston?
Aye. No problem. Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Item C is a resolution to accept a low bid from Henson Robinson Company for the replacement of low-slope roofing at the Community Activity Center in the amount of $62,128 and to approve an associated budget adjustment. Ms. Lorenz?
I'd like to move for that item, please.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Ms. Lorenz?
Okay. Question I had on that may be answered by the facilities director if he's here, or Mr. Peterson. Just wanted to check on the urgency of this, since this is an item that is requiring a budget variance.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
That section of the roof is failing. It's had ongoing issues for years, actually. The seams are splitting, the repairs that have been done, we just basically can't keep up with it. Almost every rain event causes an issue for the theater. So of the multiple roof sections that are there, I think there's probably 8 or 10 sections due to the different elevations. We've been doing a bit of triage, I guess, on that roof. Over the years, last year, we replaced the area over the social room. It was about 5,000 square feet. Same type of replacement. We're just chugging our way through, so there is some urgency to that particular section.
Okay. Have you uncovered this and other things through your recent inventory of facilities?
Yeah.
Was this an item that was uncovered?
Yeah, the roofs are huge assets, so we approach those differently. Like all the assets we uncovered in our strategic plan, what we found was really more than we could ask for. as far as funding.
Okay.
So we took a strategic approach to everything, which includes preventive maintenance and, of course, I call it triage maintenance. This roof is a good example of what I'd call a zombie roof. It's long past its life cycle. We've been helping it along. It's still
that
out there
term
living
before.
on.
Okay.
So we've got a variety of those
Okay.
that we're trying to address. Like I said, I think we walked away with like $7 million or $8 million in assets that at some point would need to be turned over. We didn't bring that to the table because it didn't seem reasonable.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we're doing this. We're assessing triage in buildings like the community activity center where there's multiple roof sections or areas that can be addressed individually. We're kind of treating them each one as their own instead of a whole project. That does a couple of things. One, it identifies the real problem right out of the gate and fixes it without going over the top. It also softens the blow for future decision makers.
Okay.
If we're able to stage them out instead of having a $250,000 job all at one time, you've got pieces. So.
Okay, good. Thank you for that explanation.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Motion is approved. Item J is an ordinance approving a special use permit for a telecommunication tower at 1324 Fort Jesse Road. Mr. Preston.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Preston.
One question or concern on this, I see the tower will be bordered with a 6-foot-tall fence that has barbed wire at the top, excuse me. And I know that the general area where this will be is industrial and zone manufacturing. And from my understanding, having driven past it, most of the visibility from Fort Jesse Road is covered by large trees, but I'm wondering if there's any concern from the standpoint of staff having that kind of visual be part of this rather than an alternative that isn't just the 6-foot-high chain link with barbed wire at the top.
They're actually going to plant arborvitae around the compound, so to the extent you can see it at all from Fort Jesse, you would actually just be seeing the arborvitae. So they are planning to screen with plants.
Okay. Okay.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The resolution is approved. That concludes our omnibus agenda. We have 3 items of general orders tonight, the first of which is a motion to authorize the preparation of the 2015 property tax levy ordinance. Motion for
Move
approval.
approval.
Second.
Everybody's ready to move approval on that one. Is there discussion on this item? This is not a vote on the levy, but it is a motion to instruct staff to prepare the levy. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The item is approved. Item 7 is a resolution adopting the 2015 Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Move approval.
Approval.
Second.
Thank you. This has been ongoing, and it's quite a lot of material to digest. It's a broad-reaching plan covering a lot. So, questions or comments on it at this point?
Lots of work.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Do
Yes.
appreciate it.
It's a great plan, I think. Hearing no discussion, please call the roll.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The resolution is approved. Item 8 is an ordinance authorizing the town of Normal, McLean County, Illinois, to enter in a first supplemental bond trust indenture, a first supplemental tax compliance agreement, and certain other documents in connection with the modification of certain terms related to the town's solid waste disposal revenue bonds having to do with Midwest Fiber Project, Series 2010. Move approval on that one.
Move approval.
Second.
And Mr. Peterson, would you take a moment just to explain what I just said?
Well, I'll do my best. I may have to rely on Mr. Day, but you may recall a number of years ago, the town granted to Midwest Fiber a portion of its private activity bonding authority to finance a significant expansion of their facility located in West Normal. I believe that was in 2010. Due to the interest rate environment, there's an opportunity to refinance that improvement and to slightly improve the rate of interest, therefore lower the cost on the financing, basically using the same vehicle, the private activity bond, which all municipalities I believe all municipalities in Illinois are given a certain allocation by the state, and we are able to make these bonds available to private entities within the community. In this particular case, with this type of financing vehicle, the town has no responsibility for repayment of the bonds. We're simply extending this authority to, in this case, a business who will be solely responsible for repayment of the bonds, as well as solely responsible for all costs associated with this financing. So it's I think, an opportunity to help out a local business, one that certainly has, I think, brought some useful capabilities to our community, and it also happens to be one of our vendors. We work with them very closely with some of our public works projects. So I'm sure Brian could answer more detailed questions. That's kind of an overview of what this involves.
I thought it was worth going
Yeah.
through that exercise so
Sure.
people understand exactly what we're doing here.
Sure.
Discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. We have it's obviously another light work week at the Attorney General's office. We have a motion to adjourn to executive session for discussion concerning pending litigation under Section 2C11 of the Open Meetings Act, probable imminent litigation under Section 2.C11 of the Open Meetings Act, and the acquisition of real property under Section 2.2C5 of the Open Meeting Act. So you're going to be hearing that every time we go to executive session now.
Move approval.
Thank you.
First, you want to do
But
concerns?
before we do that, yes, concerns or comments? We'll just start
Start
at the end here.
Okay.
Ms. Lawrence?
I got a couple of each, concern, comment, and question. First, on the comment about the just recent vote on the Parks and Rec, I want to just remind everyone that we had a great presentation a couple of months ago about that. So while there wasn't maybe a lot of discussion today, we had the benefit of a very lengthy, well, in a good way, lengthy and informative discussion on that. So just wanted to make that recollection. On a concern level, it was a nice day yesterday. I was out doing some driving around and errands. Just want to raise it up and maybe push it a little further in our minds. North Main Street, and just a bit of concern that I see as you travel from, say, Rab Road down towards College, and how that area is developing. And so I just want to raise that up as we consider, future economic development decisions and plans and so forth. Of particular concern, I noticed that gas station, I think it used to be on the corner of Main and Willow, is looking pretty boarded up. So just a concern I wanted to raise tonight for everyone. And then lastly, a question. I noticed Wildberries, which had closed, has been torn down, and didn't know if anybody knew. Perhaps, Mark, you look like you're nodding your head.
Yes.
Do you know, Mr. Peterson, what we can expect there?
I don't know. It has been purchased. The owner plans to redevelop the site. Spoke with that individual as early as last week, and he does not know exactly what will go there. Likely some sort of a restaurant, but certainly is actively considering that location, and I'm sure will be coming forward in the near future with a proposal, but is just not exactly sure at this time what will go there.
Okay, well, glad to see that turning over into
Yep.
some new life. Thank you.
Mr. McCarthy, did you have one? Ms. Gaines?
Well, I just wanted to welcome a friend from Japan. and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Seato? Okay. He is a Wesleyan student, and he was interested in coming and learning to see how we're doing things here. At the beginning of the year, I was fortunate enough to be asked to come and meet a couple of the students and go to dinner and kind of show them around town, and Seattle was one. And so we had a good time, and hopefully you're still enjoying school and things are going well, but I just wanted to make sure that we said something tonight to welcome you here.
I would take that motion now.
I had
I'm sorry.
a couple of quick things. First, I'm still trying to get my arms around the zombie roof. I love that term. I think we've blazed new trail with that term, Mr. Clench. There are a couple of people in the audience that I want to introduce, two new staff members who have recently joined us, sitting next to Chris Cotton out there. First of all, Gene Kotlinski. Gene, you want to stand up? And Gene is our new Assistant Director, Parks and Recreation of Maintenance Operations, and he comes to us from Kansas City area, probably a Royals fan, I don't know, a very happy Royals fan. So welcome. And next to Gene is James Wayne, who's also Assistant Director of Recreation and Business Operations in the Parks and Recreation Department. So James actually comes to us from Illinois State University, so he's kind of a local guy, and we're happy to have both of them. Chris is really happy to have those guys on board, taking some of the pressure off him. So welcome, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you for coming tonight.
That's all right. Thank you. Anyone else? The motion. Do we have a
Move
motion?
approval to
Thank you.
go to executive session.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McBride? Aye. Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, we are adjourned to executive session.